I am here. I'm
Hey,
here. Can
Mark.
you hear me?
Hey,
How we doing,
Mark.
Mark?
Hey, Kyler. I
Not,
don't think we've had the opportunity to meet, have we?
no, not yet. It's nice to virtually meet you.
It's nice to be virtually met. Let's
Yes.
see. Got too much.
How how's your week been so far, Mark?
It was busy as heck through Wednesday, and then I worked really hard to clear my plate. So the last couple of days have been delightful. A little bit of client stuff, but I've been able to work on my own marketing a little bit. You know how rare and difficult that is in the marketing world.
Yeah,
Oh
for
yeah.
sure, for sure. Cool. How long have you been in the marketing space?
Okay, depends how you look at it. I started an e-commerce site in 2003,
Okay.
so I was marketing it. I'd started doing some marketing for other companies. I just had a friend ask me if I could help him out with Google Ads for one of his SEO clients, and that was around 2007, something like that. And then I switched from IT to marketing around 2011. So I was
Okay.
IT and doing a little bit of marketing stuff, and I just created a new resume and became marketing.
There you go.
And then in 2014, I started inbound revenue.
Awesome.
What's what do you say like what was one of your biggest challenges starting it, going from, what you were doing as like a freelancer IT into like an actual agency itself,
Becoming an agency,
becoming an
and
agent?
yeah, becoming an agency. We're all agencies. We all have a laptop and a website, but struggling to grow that into a team. And I'm not sure it's always it doesn't work the same for everyone. There's some value to, I know some guys that have tried to grow agencies and just went back to being quote unquote contractors. I think there's a model for contractor with a team.
Yeah,
Makes sense?
100%. Kind of like a freelancer with a couple salespeople, which I met a couple days ago.
Yeah, it's you're kind of when you there's a lot of things that go into scaling up to an agency, and I think one thing that happens for sure is a loss of quality because you have to create you have to create a McDonald's at that point.
Yeah, 100%. So what would you say? All right. So when you started doing that, how did you get your first 10 clients? Would you say, was it referrals and
Craigslist, Craigslist and referrals. I
Craigslist.
had
Craigslist?
been working for an agency and I had been started out in search and then doing sales. So I had contacts. So a little bit of it came from referrals. But man, I was all over Craigslist back then. People actually used it. And I got some clients. They weren't necessarily the best clients in the world, but I got me some clients.
Yeah. When you first started, were you always doing like white label, or is that a newer thing that you guys picked up?
No, I technically was always sort of white label, but we've always had a blend of white label and direct
Okay.
client.
Okay.
And you
Uh,
guys still do that blend?
I'm sorry.
You guys still operate with like that blend, or is it mainly just white label these days?
We pitch ourselves as white label, and we take the direct clients that come to us if they're a good fit for what we do.
For sure.
What services do you currently offer?
We actually offer fewer than ever.
Yeah.
We've mostly pulled back to Google Ads and local service ads. We did do we were doing kind of the whole bunch of stuff like Google My Business or Google Business Profile Optimization, local SEO, Facebook ads, um, and anything else pretty much that people. But I just decided to get back in my lane, simplify my life. We have like LSA management. I've got someone on the team that does that. I really don't know. I wouldn't know how to manage it. I know conceptually how to manage an LSA, but I don't know if I've ever been in one. But that's something that a lot of clients asked us for, and it is essentially a Google Ads service almost. Um, so that felt like a good fit. And we do a little bit of stuff like just we really have three services. You didn't ask this question, but I'm answering it anyway. We have a fast launch, which is a productized service. We're going to give you a landing page. We're going to set up your campaign. We're going to do call tracking and lead tracking. we prefer to work in certain niches, but we stretch those niches out a good bit if we think it's viable. And that's what you get. Here's how you get it. Period. End of story. It's $7.49 the first month, $4.99 a month, and that's essentially our white label offer. But we typically don't charge direct clients much more. I have started to charge direct clients more though because they require because lots of times you have to do a lot of explaining
Oh yeah.
to direct clients where agencies, they know what you're talking about already.
For sure. Do you work
Um,
with different size agencies, like big agencies, small agencies? Do you?
yeah,
Yeah.
I would say that we work from everything to uh, person with a laptop to real agencies.
Okay. What's one trait that you see amongst all these people? Whether it's good or bad. Like, is there something you see like all the successful agencies share a common trait versus people that you see that like they might bring you like one or two clients every so often? They're not
Well,
really.
the ones that yeah, it's all about, typically a niche, typically a sales process. Niche is a part of it for sure. I see people in niches tend to bring us more clients. And then people that are trying to grow, it goes back to that agency versus, jack of all trades kind of guy. Those are usually the one-off type thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. Sounds good. So you do avoid like okay, so I guess what I'm trying to say is I white label essentially when you meet people that are doing white label for their agency, like would you say you see them like a lot more involved in their sales process versus, being scattered across like the whole business doing everything? Like
If they're not involved in their sale, I do think they're more involved in their sales process, but they may just be involved in a particular discipline, like they're the SEO person or they're the website. That's what they do. They focus on SEO. I think SEO is a lot of it because those folks generally don't want to step into the paid world. But then there's some people who I'm pretty sure are just running the agency and just selling and stuff like that. It
yeah,
feels like everybody kind of gets into a quote unquote agency with the one skill they have, whether it's social media or Facebook or Facebook ads or website SEO, and then they sort of sub out the other parts of it.
yeah. I mean, I got into it doing just websites, like specifically just websites, and then I started doing like jack of all trade type of deal. But just recently, the past couple months, I've pretty much niched it right back down to doing like we're niched by service, just like specifically websites nowadays. So
Yeah, that's where we've gone back to. Like everybody else, I've seen all the shiny objects and chased them. And then we outsourced, things like SEO to, it was always a difficult thing though. We could do that for direct clients, but you couldn't do it for an agency client. So we just pulled back and super simplified. We do a lot of the quote unquote fast launch. That's the productized one. We do buckets of hours mostly for agencies where they just have a variety of clients and they need, you know, someone to do an audit, do an optimization, do a build, do a whatever. So we do that on an hourly basis. And then we do what I call custom. Maybe it's e-commerce. Maybe they want to use their own website. Maybe they have multiple locations. So anything that isn't fast launch or hourly falls under custom. And that allows us to do Google Ads for almost everybody that wants Google Ads.
for sure. So with that being said, then why do you recommend someone does white label, like starting an agency? Like, do you think white label is the best course of action, or is it not for everybody?
Yes, that is the answer to that question. It could 100% be the right course of action depending on what you want to own. If you want to be an SEO person that also doesn't lose clients when they start looking for Google Ads,
Yep.
then yeah, white label your Google Ads out. One of the challenges if someone is talking to another agency because you don't do Google Ads, let's say, or you don't do SEO, then you have the chance of losing that client to that other agency. So generally speaking, you want to keep them close and working with you, even if you're subbing it out. And then the other thing is, why learn all this crap and keep up with it, run an agency, build out your pricing, build out your, build out your pricing, build out your model, find a good white label provider. One thing that people don't realize with white label providers, you don't like, there's one thing to do Google ads. It's another thing to bring on a provider that has systems and experience and processes. So you're not just like, if you buy our fast launch, you're not just buying like Google Ads Management, which is what I initially sold. I initially sold Google Ads Management. Whatever you have, I'll do it. However you want to beat on me, I'll take the beating. But now when you buy, it's easily explainable. You're going to get a landing page. You're going to get call tracking. You're going to get lead tracking. You're going to get weekly optimization. You're going to get, Google Ads search campaign build out in your Google Ads account that's state of the art, or best practices, that sort of thing. So you don't have to figure all that stuff out. Like if I were to start offering one of the reasons I never wanted to offer SEO is I know a little bit about it, but man, I don't want to create all the processes. I don't want to create all the
So with that being said, then I'm starting a new, let's say hypothetically speaking, I'm starting a new agency, in the first 30 days, now that I've decided I'm going to use white label, I don't got to go learn all these skills that I want to offer. I say I'm good at websites and I want to offer like full service marketing. So I figured that system out, it's going to be fulfilled through white label. What do you recommend a new agency owner does in the first 30 days if they don't have to, practice the skills? Because, back in the day, a lot, what I would see on social media are like agency owners, coaches talking about start your agency, do your first 10 clients for free so you get the skills. Mm-hmm. So you don't got to learn the skills. You're going to be using white label. What do you recommend an agency does in their first 30 days? All you have is and no portfolio, no team,
Get some clients, get some darn clients for sure. That is the most challenging part of the agency world is lead gen client acquisition.
For sure. So what do you recommend someone who can't afford to do Facebook ads, Google ads? How do you recommend they go?
Well, there's a couple of different approaches. Market locally, get out to every lead group, every business thing, market locally. It doesn't cost anything to get on YouTube. It doesn't cost anything to get on social media. It doesn't cost anything to reach out to people. Crazy. Like I picked up the phone yesterday and called a guy in a niche that I want to be in and just talk to him about it, pick up the phone. You got to get active. Marketers don't like selling, but from my experience, sales is more honest than marketing.
That's why I think like if you have your systems being fulfilled, you got the marketing portion down pat, your work's going to be fulfilled. Like, essentially you should be acting essentially in your business as just a salesperson and an account manager, besides all your little back end admin stuff that you're working on, but I feel like your day to day should look like, the role of like a mixed sales and account manager.
Yeah. I would say that if in the first 30 days you don't know what you're doing or what to do, then you need to stop and get that plan together and then restart your 30 days when you have some idea, because it takes a lot of research. One thing I'd recommend is, if you decide you want to white label out your services, talk to different white label companies, figure out which ones you like, which pricing you like, learn something about this. I see this post, you guys see this post all the time where like someone says, hey, I just sold SEO to a car dealer. How do I do SEO? That sort of thing, figure out at least the basics enough to be able to talk about things. And a lot of that comes like a lot of the conversations I have with clients, agency clients is, okay, what should I be, what type of budget should I be talking about? What type of expectations? And of course, we know that expectations, you can't, it's unknown, but at least you can sort of set. I tell you what, if someone comes to me with like a really stupid low budget or a niche that nobody knows exists, then that's a conversation we can have and say like, you can't sell things that people don't like. You've got a new service. It's really, really cool, but no one knows that your service exists. They're not going to search for it. Exactly. Or you're super niche, like you're a sub niche of a niche of a, like I recall one where they only wanted to do They want to do roofing, and they only want to do flat roofs, commercial roofs over 300,000 feet. I'm like, that's like one search a year nationally.
It's tough.
You know, you're not going to find those people. Um, Even things as simple as like hardscaping or outdoor kitchens. Who do you call? You call a landscaper. So people call landscaping, just landscaping near me. There's
Yeah.
some hardscaping search out there, but same thing with roofing. You might own a commercial building, but most people just type roofing contractor near me. So I don't know what the question was that we were answering, but I would say that, I help clients sort of guide them as to what's a reasonable expectation. Is this a niche that's going to work? What type of ad spend budget should they have? That sort of thing.
For sure. So when you're just starting out, then how do you? I know because all right. So a lot of people niche down by industries. We might say we're just doing auto dealerships. We might have our ad spend recommendations pretty down pat. But I noticed you had your niche ad spend recommendation sheet. Is that just from doing over time, or is that just if I'm a new agency owner starting out offering Google ads, how should I specifically know? Tell a client what their budget should be. Is there a rule of thumb that I should go based off of how many the search trends or something along those lines?
Well, there's a couple guidelines to keep in mind. One is that the client already has a budget in mind, even as they're asking you, what do you think my budget should be? They already have a number in their head. And the second thing is more money is always better than less. We're buying data. If they say things like, yeah, I'm going to spend this tiny little bit amount of money, but boy, are we going to scale up when we get some results, run, don't walk, and away from that client. And then the other thing is talk to someone that knows what they're talking about. That's where your white label partner should come in handy. Because you don't know, how do you know what to recommend a roofer in? Like a roofer in Dallas is going to be different than a roofer in Savannah, Georgia.
That's why I've heard people say the cost of your product. So say, for example, if I was running Google ads for my web agency and our main product that we sell is the middle tier $1,500 website, I've heard people tell me to use $1,500 in ad spend for the first month, the price of my product. Have you ever used that method framework? No.
I mean, maybe it's a valid one. I've never.
Yeah, no, it didn't make much sense to me because I work with a roofing company. I used to work with a roofing and solar company, and those projects are 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand. So
you just throw 20 grand the first month. You'll be
good.
So,
I don't see them doing that on Facebook ads. We usually.
Well, here's how I usually don't start the conversation with, and I try to reframe a lot of conversations or questions that are asked. So what my objective in a Google Ads campaign is to create a consistent, long-term, steady flow of marketing qualified leads. That's different than let me spend $500 so I can afford to advertise next month. So you just frame things up in a different way. And as far as ad budget, none of that money goes to me. What I care about is, are you giving us a chance to get you leads? And because I know without a significant flow of leads, you're not going to stick around and you're not going to be able to close the deals. So my goal is to have enough budget to get you leads and to get you. Then if we can get leads for someone, we can always get them more leads. It's like if you get those first, 5 or 6 conversions, you can always get more. It's not always going to be 100% steady. The end of July, a bunch of accounts slowed down, but it's the end of July. I figure everyone's probably on vacation. There's certainly a little uncertainty in the economy now. Different regions perform different ways. But there's a lot of things that go into it. And in terms of budget, again, it depends on your goal. It depends on, the service you're in, the city you're in. And it's just have enough to get, have enough to let us get you some leads.
Yeah. So I don't do e-commerce. I know you said you started off in e-commerce. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can just myth bust this one for me. Is it true that when it comes to running e-commerce Google ads, that you do need a significantly large budget to even see a little impact?
I don't know. I think you can get by with, if you're running shopping ads, you can get by with, $1,000 typically. Now, are you going to blow the doors off your business? Probably not. But the chips are the clicks are fairly cheap on shopping campaigns, and it's very intent based. So that $1,000 is going to tell you a lot. To me, like a shopping campaign is proof of concept for your business. A lot of people come into e-commerce with they're dreaming. They're dreaming.
Yeah,
And if you run shopping ads and you're not converting, either you have something no one wants to buy, it's available everywhere else, it's cheaper, your website sucks, or it's typically not a campaign issue if you can't sell your product through a shopping.
yeah. What's
Now,
your
you may
opinion?
not be able to sell it at the return you want or the margin you want, but you should be able to sell it.
For sure, for sure. What's your opinion on that, Kyler? Because I know you do a lot of advertising for e-commerce, right?
Yeah, I've kind of found the same. So, especially with like shopping campaigns and then also PMAX, you can start out like pretty low budget, but it's just got to be products that people are actually like searching for and interested in.
People want.
Yeah, that people want. Because I've noticed, if it's not a good product, it's very hard to sell. So.
Yeah, I've seen people trying to sell the same drop ship crap that everybody else is selling, or they want to have a pet store online and they've got 33 products. I'm like, there's nothing, you don't have anything,
Well, I always tell myself, like, if I'm going to start an online store, I'm not going to go up against, there's certain industries I'm going to stay away from. Pets are one of them, because you got Chewy online now, who probably half the country uses to buy their pet supplies. So
if you had a unique, monogrammed pet thing, maybe, but you got to really know your niche or have a niche or something. Though, to be honest, I had a site for a while that just sold drop ship jewelry, but there's some advantages there. It was cheap. A lot of people buy jewelry.
Yeah, for sure.
And there was a ton. I just used drop shippers, and they all had, like 3,000 products. So I could just and I only ran that for 3 or 6 months, but man, I sold a lot of jewelry. It was crazy.
Yeah, my brother was talking to me about getting into doing some e-commerce, but he doesn't know what he wants to sell yet. I told him, I tell everybody this, like, I think nowadays a lot of these worlds got like destroyed online, like the e-commerce world, the SMMA, they call it, like the marketing agency world online. Like, people will try to sell you like a lot of bull crap. And he was coming at me like, you see like the $27 pre-built Shopify stores, products and stuff. Like, I feel like as long as you're not a store like that, and you're selling like a meaningful, cool, different product, you should be good selling online.
I think with a $27 Shopify store, you get what you paid for. And if you took a course on how to become rich using, e-commerce, keep in mind that if the person was rich, they wouldn't be selling a $27 course on how to get rich. They'd just be doing it. I started in e-commerce when you could make money, and pre-Amazon days where, we could mark a product up 400%. And a lot of people, frankly, just don't know their numbers well enough to be in e-commerce. You got to know your numbers more than anything else. You got to know the difference between markup and margin. You got to know what cost per sale you can have. You have to look at it as client acquisition cost, unless you only sell to someone one time, but you want to get in something that's consumable, typically, where you can hit them up again.
Well, to get back into the agency space, since you brought that up, what about the people with the agency, the agency courses? You think the same way about them? Like, if it's too cheap, like, is there something that new agency owners should like watch out for when it comes to looking for consulting or education online for the agency space?
I think that get in a group that's solid. I am unfamiliar with too many courses that are just courses themselves that really give you the full picture of what it's like to be in an agency. About 4-ish years ago, there was a big bunch of, get in the agency world, high ticket sales, make a bunch of money. You don't have to know anything, blah, blah, blah. And I dealt with all those, wannabe agency owners, and they were all getting sold a bill of goods. Like you just get in, you charge $5,000, and you make $4,500 per client, and you need 10 clients, and you're making 45,000. It's like, yeah, I wish it was like that. I
I
would
bet
do.
you a lot of white label providers did well during that time.
I mean, I got beat on because all the questions were, how many leads can you guarantee me? Because everything they were taught in the courses was about guaranteed leads. I'm like, yeah, I can guarantee you 0 leads. And
Yeah.
they didn't want to work with me under those circumstances. Like I have niches where I know I can get leads, but I'm never going to guarantee anyone a result. I don't know. You might have a terrible reputation. Your town might be the cheapest town in the country. I don't know.
So I'm not the only one that frowns upon those Facebook ad, 10 roofing jobs, or you'll pay 0.
Yeah, I mean that's their offer, but there's fine print for sure associated with that.
So
that brings me.
when it comes to like other white label agencies, what's something that you've done to help like stand out a little bit amongst them?
I think the thing that we do, and I don't know if it stands us out or if it puts us at a disadvantage, but we do Google ads. You have agencies that do, Google ads, SEO, website, social media, blah, blah, blah. And the benefit of that is you can go to one source.
Yeah.
And there's my white label provider. The way I pitch us is we do one thing and we do it well. This is our lane. We stay in it. I'm not trying to install people.
I think that's good, especially starting out that way, because there's always little things you can add that are relevant to your services. Like if you're only offering Google ads, you might be able to add SEO to your service offering. It doesn't go too far out. It's just, you can offer a paid version of Google source like traffic, and you can offer an organic version of it as well. So.
And do you have like a pretty large like fulfillment team, or do you keep that pretty lean?
No, I try to stay as lean as possible. There's about 4 or 5 of us. I mean, it depends who you count. We have people that, designer, a couple Google Ads people, account manager, me, LSA person, operations person. So I try to keep it lean because you have to, if you want to be profitable, especially at white label, because you're not charging people retail rates.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I've always wondered that. That's staying lean is how you, I guess, profit whenever you see white label agencies are charging, half of. So I guess what I should say, okay, let me reword this question. If you guys are charging, $497 a month for Google ad services, do you guys help agency owners like come up with like what they should sell it for? Or do you tell them to like double the rate? Like,
yeah, 50 to 100%, like 750 to 1,000 type of thing. But if you're selling a package bundle, you're following like the Josh Nelson 7-figure agency type model where you're bundling in website and SEO and everything all together, then it's just part of that total number, because you're charging them 3,000 a month or something like that. But yeah, I typically say 50% to 100% is reasonable. Now, those marketing bros that took the courses were trying to sell it for like $4,000. Like, they got a $2,000 ad spend. They're not going to pay you $4,000 to manage it. I mean, maybe they will, but not for long.
With people charging such a high agency, like, all right, so when a client, say I run, let's just hypothetically speak about my website agency. If I'm running my website agency, I say it cost me $500 to fulfill a $1,500 product. So that keeps me with $1,000 profit there. Or essentially when you're doing the advertising spend, say you're using $1,000 ad spend, the agency is charging me $1,000. So that's $2,000. When you do, so I know when Google does your cost per lead and stuff, like, or to show you like cost per client, is there a way that you specifically, add the agency fee into the data before giving it over to your clients? So they know like, yeah, it might cost them like $20 to get a client on Google, but they're still paying the agency fee. So is there a way of like them knowing that
you just add it in there if you want to add it to your, add not our fee, but add the the agency's fee to the budget and the number of leads. You could include that. I never do. I just like, I'm like not terribly sophisticated on the sales side. It's like, this is what we do. Here's how much it costs. And this
Yeah.
is what you get for it.
Very consultative selling, which is good. You don't want to hard close that hard these days, I feel like. But so then go back to my last question. Why do you recommend a new agency owner does not take the ad spend? Why do you recommend that they put their client's card, directly into an advertising manager?
If you want to pay the charge back.
Because because I see so many clients, agencies that I talk to day to day, they take the whole, so they'll tell you it's $7,000 a month, but we're going to be using $3,000 of this for ad spend. So why would you recommend against that? For a new agency owner?
Well, there's two things. There's trust on the client side. Most clients who have been in that scenario don't love it, because if you're paying the ad spend, it generally means you're running the ads in your own account. They don't have access to it. And if you're paying the ad spend and you're running it in their account, why would you want to take on, there's only two reasons you'd want to do that. One is because you want a bunch of points on your credit card so you could fly. The second one is so that you can spend less than $3,000 a month on ad spend and make money on ad spend. Those are the only reasons I can think. I don't want to track ad spend across a zillion different accounts and get the charge back on my card when someone says they don't want to spend. I don't even want to manage the cash flow. That would be such a pain in the ass to me.
Yeah, potentially adding accounting to your role every day. So
yeah, I can't imagine. It's hard enough keeping up with the clients and Google and everything else.
Yeah, man. So it was definitely good talking to you. Do you have any more questions for him, Kyler?
I guess I want to ask you, what's one big opportunity you see coming up in the agency space?
Okay, I'll be contrarian here. Is relationships. Everyone else is leaning into systems, AI, everything else. Create relationships, reach out to people, build those relationships. Very old fashioned, but I am I'm a little old school. But there's a huge value in actually being connected to people. No one refers an AI agent to a client.
Very true. Yeah.
So it's all people to people still. We forget that sometimes.
Is AI going to take your job in the next 10 years?
I hope so. But I don't think so. But I'm the one guy out. I mean, every day I hear AI is about to, it's going to be so cool you'll never know. But when I ask people, okay, well, what can I do today with AI that I don't need to follow up on? I don't need to check to make sure it's really real, and I don't need to. I get a much shorter list of answers for people when I ask for a specific, concrete. How did you use it today? I mean, I use it for cool stuff. Get on Grok and ask a question, but I don't necessarily believe the answer.
No, yeah, I mean, I use it for content, and I use it for frameworks on content. So if it spits out a blog, now I have a framework. I'll read that blog, and then now I'm going to write my own using it. Or
right, and it's great for that.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Better images and things like that. But as far as so I've used some of the cool AI landing page tools. So it did create kind of a nice landing page. It looked good. Problem is, it really didn't have any of the content that I would need on there. It didn't integrate with anything that I needed to integrate with. Will it get there? I'm sure it probably will. But
I've used AI web builder. I'm not a fan. I'd rather build it. I don't even like templates. Over here, we don't use templates either. We're straight from scratch. The only time we'll use a template, we've had a client bring us a Elementor template that they found online on Elementor.com. They're like, can we use this website? And you put our content in there. We're like, sure. They'll see one of our clients' websites on our computer or on our website, and they'll ask us can we make this look just like this? So then that's as far as we'll go with templates. So I can only imagine building the entire site with AI. I doubt it'll put all the appropriate content that needs to be in there.
Well, what am I going to tell clients when they call and ask about results? So maybe, I don't know, that's what the AI did. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you could say one more thing then to agency owners, do you have one piece of advice that you would give to somebody right now, just besides, what we spoke about, just one message to leave them with?
I would say, find your lane, whether it's a niche, whether you niche by service or niche by service or niche by, industry. Find your lane, stay in it, build a small, lean team, and do really good work. I think that one thing that's missing, and I do a lot of Google ads for agencies, not a lot of good work being done out there. So
Exactly.
do good work.
If you can't do the work, bring them over to Mark. Do white label.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, Mark, if people do want to like work with you or learn more about you, where can they find you?
They can go to, where is it? Inboundrevenue.com. And I'm on Facebook all the time too, or YouTube, but inboundrevenue.com, and just reach out to me there or find me on Facebook. I've got to get back. I was buried for the last month with stuff, but I'm going to get back to being active on there and spam all of your posts whenever I can.
I'll make sure to add your links on the bottom when we do post this. So I'll make sure I put your Facebook, your YouTube, your website. Is there anything else that you want anyone to go to besides those three?
No, that's perfect.
Okay, cool. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us, man, and looking
thank
forward
you.
to working.
Yeah, it's my